do you have a routine before creating? Like in order, because I feel like you have to be a very pure channel. Do you know what I mean? Like to be writing and creating all the time. Do you have some sort of way that you prepare for that?
I tend to just be working on one project at a time. Like sometimes I might have like a digital thing I'm working with or, just general running of the business. But I try as much as I can to have the focus because I do work so much as a channel and with transmission. I want it to be just like one energy strand that I'm working with, right? So then I'll just like live in that. I've got young kids, so
Yeah.
I can't eat, sleep, and do everything in it anymore. But when I step into the container, I like, for example, the way I structure my days. I run a business as well, obviously, but how I'll structure my day is it'll be like the mystic morning or the artist morning. So I won't do any linear mind work until like after lunchtime. And so I find the more space I have, the faster I can create. Like if I am like in the energetic container, the channel can open and I could write 5 card descriptions in like, I don't know, an hour, let's say, versus if I tried to just give myself an hour, I'd probably do 2. But
Yeah.
I got to
Yeah.
give myself the space around it.
That's so
I also
interesting.
do things
Okay.
like I'll create an altar for connecting with the energy that I'm working with or the creation I'm working with. So, like bringing it into physical form. I'll also journal on it. I try to make sure my own spiritual practice comes first and then, connecting to create. But sometimes I find that challenging to do. Like there's a bit of overlap.
Or maybe they're both the same, right?
They are. But, I think it's kind of like I've got a card in the deck called The Mystic and the Machine. And to me, it's like just the classic situation that so many creatives and creators find themselves in the modern world where we need to embrace technology and share things and content and do things. But it's easy to kind of go from creating as in like pure devotion artistry to machine and producing and so finding that balance. And I always notice that I'm going into the machine when I'm sitting down to my meditation to write, versus just so that's always like that's definitely a
This is
challenge.
such a subtle difference too. I kind of want to go deeper into that because as a creative, and a lot of people we all live in this social media world where we feel like we want to like, I guess, show up, and it's a constant expectation to be showing up and creating. What do you say to that?
We can lose ourselves in that, and we can also lose the potency and purity of the very thing that is our gift that brought us the success that we've got. Like if we focus so much on producing rather than creating, of doing things for metrics, for example, over or because everyone else is doing it, over being in that sweet nectar of the joy of creation itself,
Yeah.
then I think it takes a toll on the soul. And ultimately, I think it's not good for us long term, even financially as well, So it is this like fine balance. And I think the seasons are the greatest teacher with it because, I think of the artists that I are inspired by the most, they always take time out. Like they'll disappear for a couple of years and have no albums, and then all of a sudden they come back with something that is so life-changing that it's like it's worth it.
Yeah,
I'm so
you're
glad
so
that they
right.
didn't create every single month, and maybe they were creating.
Yeah, imagine they never stopped and burned themselves out versus taking the
Yeah.
time to be okay with disappearing and then
Yeah.
taking the time to really create from that pure place. It's not
Exactly.
easy.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh, I know. How do you go with that?
I struggle because I'm on YouTube. I think it's
Yeah.
easier. Like, let's say you're an author or like music artist, you can take longer periods of not
Yeah.
creating, at least from my perspective. But I guess nowadays everyone's also expected to show up on social media often. I had to unravel my sense of self-worth from the productivity and the external validation. And there were a few years where I just like my posting used to be super consistent, and then I took a break. I took obviously a few breaks, and then now it's less consistent. I think I honor my own energy. If I don't have energy for something, I'm not going to push myself through it. But I still struggle because there's a part of my brain that's like, you should be working on this. No, so it's like the logic versus like how tired my body feels or my creative soul feels. And it's like, I'm better with taking care of myself, but I also felt the consequence of that, right? Things do slow down when you operate like that.
I'm intrigued what you said then as well about like I forget how you put it, but essentially the validation from, tell me about that because I so resonate with that.
Because social media gives artists such an immediate feedback. And this is not just a social media thing. It's also from the way I was raised, right? You're raised to like perform, to get good grades, it becomes addictive to like get praise and compliments for whether you're doing well or your talents or whatever, to be a winner. And I think that's like it's a trauma that works in society because everything looks good, even though it's not healthy to depend your worth on external validation. Like I'm moving towards the no matter what you do, you are already worthy and enough. And I can be a failure and still feel enough because I'm valuable in the intangibles. Like I have a
Mm,
personality, I have a sense of humor, I have like all these things that are so beautiful without me actually achieving or performing for anything in the world. And
mm,
I think I've shifted more to a place where I create and I work because like when it brings me joy and because it brings me joy and not because I'm trying to like meet some sort of expectation.
yeah,
Like there's a
yeah,
difference between working out of that need to, oh, I have to keep up, I have to stay on top, or I have to whatever, like some sort of pressure or need versus, oh, I'm working on this project because it's really fun. Like I'm learning something. Like right now I'm working on an app, which is something I've never done before. And I'm having so much fun because it's a creative process in something new. And it's just reminding me that true creativity is joy, and if you follow what lights you up like you said, that will lead you to the right places. And ultimately at some point in my career I have felt that creativity and that joy, but when you're doing the same thing for so long, it does burn you out, it does get tiring, which means you're supposed to be taking a break from that to work on something new.
right. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us more about your spiritual routine, like daily, weekly rituals. Also, because you're a mom, I assume you must have your hands full. How do you make the time? And then what does that look like?
Prior to being a mum, I was super strict on my daily practice. It was always in the morning. I would go for a walk in nature and meditate and journal. That's just what I did day in, day out, same meditation over and over again. There was a shift where I was being called to nature. I was being called more to the earth. And I started doing a practice, which I call earth pulsing, where it was literally like laying on the earth with the back of your heart on the ground and imagining like that pulse of nature, like that tells the flowers when to bloom, the seasons when to come and go, like the heartbeat of the earth and my heartbeat regulating with it. So that was my practice for a
That's
while. I
beautiful.
do meditate now, but my practice is it's more flexible now. I do practice every day, but sometimes it might be 5 minutes, sometimes it might be 10 minutes. Sometimes I might chant, and often I'll dance. That is the biggest change in recent years. I have realized how much I pick up because I'm sensitive energetically and emotionally, and how I sometimes mistake things that aren't even mine as my own. And so, yeah, oh my gosh, dancing is like my go to now, particularly if I'm feeling
Fun.
stuck or a big emotion. put on a song and move my body. That's my
I love
favorite form
that.
of practice. Yeah. And
Oh
then
my gosh.
it's always going to be writing and like journaling. But as I
Yeah.
say, that tends to turn into work.
Yeah. Yeah, do sometimes when you're journaling for yourself, does it become like, "Oh, this can become an Instagram post or this can become a book?"
Yeah, I've got so many journals. This is the thing. And then the moment if you pick up your phone to write it, it's like the connection's gone, you know?
Do you ever journal like with your hand or do you just type everything now?
I journal with my hand. I've
Okay.
got so many notebooks.
Okay.
I often channel when I'm journaling, but I also channel when I'm walking. I find
Oh,
like the
okay.
rhythm of moving my body or the motion, maybe it's also
Mm.
being in nature. I tend to hear what I call the whispers. And so, I tend to hear it like I'll hear one word, then another word, then another word. I don't know what the sentence is going to be. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that's what that is. And so I'm writing on my phone when I do that. And so I do find that for Oracle decks, I tend to do that on my
That's
phone when
so
I'm walking
cool.
in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like a little fairy in my eyes. You're just like picking up like the messages from nature. Like, oh, this flower's telling me this. This flower's telling me that.
It's so true. It's
Oh
so
my
true.
gosh. It totally fits with your whole brand too. It just makes sense. I see it now.